Hi guys, welcome back. So today we're going to be discussing about Rainbow Children's Medicare. We will see how the hospital is done, what are the results like, and of course, what is the guidance and the outlook going forward, right? So first thing first, we'll of course discuss the business model. I will go in depth here regarding the business model because I don't think I've covered this in any of my videos earlier, right? So first, let us just dive right in, right? I just have a very small presentation that I have prepared, like a very small PPT. So yeah, let's go. Yeah. So from the name itself, you can understand, it tells Rainbow Children's Medicare, and you can understand, it is a children's hospital or a super specialty that has, that's very concentrated in providing a pediatrics care. Pediatric is nothing but children's care, right? So here, not just in terms of children, but the entire phase, when a mother is pregnant, sorry, when a woman is pregnant to, the entire process of, during her pregnancy to delivering the baby, and of course, post delivery, those kind of cares, and combined with all the specialty care regarding pediatrics, right, regarding children. Let's say if the children are sick, all the care that has to be provided for them, that is what they do, right? So here also, when you talk about this, they have a very different kind of approach, or as you call it, a multidisciplinary approach, right? So like I was explaining in my Yathartka video regarding hospital, there are three types of hospitals. Similarly here also, even in Rainbow Children Hospital, when you go, there are three types of care they provide. One is the pediatric secondary care, pediatric tertiary care, and the pediatric multi-specialty and quaternary care. So what happens is, let's say if your child is sick, right? God forbid, but if your child is sick, what happens is pediatric secondary care. So what is the difference between these three kind of care? So pediatric secondary care is, let's say a woman is pregnant, and you need to get all those scans, right, regarding how the development of the babies every month on month, that you have to get the scan. So those kind of scans, or let's say the injections you will need, right, every I would say, I think a month, or every year, that child has to get some injections, right, regarding infections and everything, those kind of things. Or very acute illnesses such as fever and cold, something like a some seasonal illness that you talk about it. So this is treated in the pediatric secondary care that they have. Then they have the tertiary care. Tertiary care is what, let's say, preterm babies, that is, a mother is giving birth, and like she doesn't complete her full term of 9 months, that preterm kind of baby. Or let's say a baby is immediately needs an ICU or an NICU, right? That, or there are certain minor surgeries that, let's say a baby has to go through, that is called as pediatric tertiary care. Now let's say pediatric multi-speciality and quaternary care. Now what is this? Let's say a child is sick, right? Let's say a child has some, maybe some problem with the brain, or some children cancer that is there, right? Like, children can also get cancer these days, as you're aware of, all these very advanced kind of diseases that we talk about. Or there is some problem with the cardiovascular diseases, right? All of these things, the specialty things that you need, and you understand that you cannot have the same kind of surgery. Like, the technique to do the surgeries, let's say for an adult who's going through a brain hemorrhage, compared to a kid, is completely different. So these kind of things are treated in your pediatric multi-specialty and quaternary care, right? So other than that, one of the interesting things about your model is they follow this hub and spoke system, right? Now what is this hub and spoke system? You can connect it to the airport, right? If you see the airports today, even they follow the same hub and spoke system. Now see, in airports also, right, now there are many airports as we talk in India today, but not all airports have international flights, right? International flights are there in some main cities or metro cities. Like, if you're in Karnataka, international airport is in Bangalore. If you're in Maharashtra, international airport is in Bombay, right? And the other airports that are there surrounding the area, that is, like, let's say, in the other districts such as Mangalore, or in Bombay, in Maharashtra, like Pune, there you might not have international flights. So what do? You take, wherever you are, you take a flight to this small airport, and then from there you take a connecting flight to the hub airport. So the same way, like how an airport has a hub and a spoke system, right? In a similar way, even these people follow hub and a spoke system. Now here the hub and spoke system, how it is done is, let's say, they have one main hospital in one or two main hospitals in every, let's say, every city, or in every state, right? Like, for example, here, if you see, in Hyderabad, can you see here, they have this one hub here. Can you see this? So this is where all, and this hub is a big hospital, they have 150 to 250 beds. It is quite relatively bigger hospital. And they do, like, all this, what I was discussing earlier, right? I was discussing about this multi-speciality and tertiary kind of clinic, right? This is where they do all these kind of treatments, right? And surrounding those areas, right, surrounding, like, sometimes maybe 100 to 200 kilometers in the area, they have the spoke model. Spoke models are nothing but regional hospitals that they have, or smaller hospitals that again consist of 50 to 100 kind of 50 to 100 beds, right? And here they give all this primary and secondary treatments, right? Like, can you see here, secondary treatment and primary treatment is just your consultation and checkups that are there, right? So these kind of treatments are provided. Now let's say if a customer, not a customer, if a patient comes to to the spoke model, and let's say the how do I tell you, the this is super speciality, they'll refer the case to the hub, they'll take it to the hub. And if there is any other treatment, they will take it to the hub. This is how they have created a system, because see, you understand, right? When you talk about a hub, when you talk about super speciality, it's a very niche, it's very concentrated, so you can't go and put it in every region, right? You can't establish these hospitals in every region. So that is why they have come up with this kind of arrangement, right? And anytime, when there is any problem with those, any problem that, the doctors in the spoke cannot treat, they'll refer it to the hub. So this is how, they are concentrated, they are not just concentrating on metro cities, this is how they are penetrating into the regional areas also, right? So this is a unique thing, as you call it, with the whole Rainbow Children's Medicare, right? So this is about the business model, the fact that they provide three kinds of treatment. They're very concentrated, a very niche hospital treating only pediatrics, and only kind of this multi-speciality things regarding pediatrics. Because when you see the other likes of other hospitals such as Apollos and everything, they are not niche. They have all kind of treatments that they provide, and they're very much concentrated towards an adult. This is more and only thing towards the children, right? And the other thing is, like I explained to you, how they follow this hub and spoke model, right? Yeah. Now we will come back and we'll see, how the result has been there in Q1 FY24. One thing to notice, we shouldn't be comparing on a QOQ basis the numbers, because Q1 is a lean quarter for these, for the hospital sector in general. Q2 and Q3 are their best quarters, like Q2, Q3, Q4, because Q2 is monsoon season and people tend to fall sick, especially children, they tend to fall sick. Here specifically, as you know, Q1 is where the holiday seasons are for schools, right? April and May, right? Like a big summer vacations you get in schools, and people usually tend to go out, right? Like go on vacations, or go away, farther away from the cities and things like that. As a result, what happens, there are not a lot of patients getting admitted. That is why you see on a QOQ level basis, Q1 is the weakest, right? Now coming on a year on year, if you see the result, you can see it has done brilliant, because if you go and look back at the guidance that the management had given, they had always guided for this 20 to 25% ka growth, right? And they, that is what they have done. They have the top line has grown at 21.3%. So the PAT has grown at 7%. You can see that the margin has improved a little bit. The margin has declined a little bit. The reason for margin, I will explain later why also. But having said that, you can see that both the bottom and the top line has increased. Yeah, and of course there is a lack of operating leverage a bit here. That is all. That is because they are constructing new hospitals. They're expanding. They're in that expansion mode. They're putting up new hospitals. And currently also, last quarter, if you see a year back also, they had, they were setting up, they were setting up a few hospitals. And if you have watched my video on Yatharth, I've clearly told you right there also that once a hospital is established, right, it takes around 3 to 4 years for that hospital to reach 50% occupancy. So similarly here, that is why you see, immediately you don't get that operating leverage, right? So now coming back to the operational KPIs, if you see, can you see here, the first thing we will see is the occupancy. You can see this is on a consolidated basis that I'm showing you. Consolidated basis in the sense, like, see, there are hospitals that have been operational since last 10 years, 15 years, and there are few hospitals that has just started operations probably last quarter, or are starting operation coming quarters. So then what happens, of course, right, the new hospitals metrics will not be as good as the old hospitals, right? Like I told you, because one is regarding the occupancy, it takes 3 to 4 years for that hospital to reach that 50% occupancy, right? As a result, you can't this is a consolidated level I'm showing you, so please keep that in mind. So if you see here also, on an occupancy basis, right, occupancy is like what the total number of beds that are there, not everything will be occupied, how many beds are occupied, right? So if you see here, it has reduced by 5%, and occupancy is like a volume metric that you check in your hospital sector. Can you see that the volume has been down by 5% over here, right? Sorry, the occupancy has been down by 5%. The reasons are, is one, as I told you, Q1 is a lean quarter for Rainbow Children's Medicare. That is number one. The second thing is, again, like I told you, there has been a lot of new hospitals, or that they have done some expansion in the existing hospital. Because of that, it will take time for those hospital to reach a certain level of occupancy. Because of that, you will see that the occupancy has come down. Another reason also, like when I was talking about margins, can you see that the margins has declined a bit, right? Few points. If you see both the PAT and the EBITDA margin, again, the reason is same. One is, of course, they're setting up a new hospital, right? So of course, right, you're going to get your depreciation cost here first, irrespective of the patient comes or not. You have to keep all the you have to keep your hospital running, the AC, all the equipments, all the machines. You also have to pay your doctors also from day one, right? That is how it works. So that is why the margins has been a bit impacted, right? The second thing also, since you're setting up these new hospitals, right, a new hospital is coming up in a new geographical area, you have to do this marketing and advertisement, right? Like, oh, listen, there's a new hospital and everything of that sort. So that is why you see that the margin has declined. Similarly, case with occupancy, also the same reason, right? The next metric that we see, can you see here that average revenue per occupied bed has increased, but the average length of stay has decreased. In fact, it has been the lowest ever in the history of Rainbow Children's Medicare. If you see, right, they have the lowest occupancy, the number of days. If you see, it is 2.48. Now, the reason for this ALOS to go down, as well as this ARPOB to go up, is although you can see that the number of inpatient admission that has happened, right? The number of children that we're getting admitted. Now, like I told you, there are two things, right? One is the treatment that they give to children, the specialty that they do, from the consultation to all the complex surgeries that they do to the children. The second thing is the birth care, that is regarding a mother, right? Like from the screening, taking care of the mother for the 9 months, all the checkups and everything, to delivering the baby. So there are two kinds of things. So of course, in Q1, the pediatrics was low, right? As you know, the pediatrics thing is low, like I explained you, the seasonality. But the mother, the thing that comes, the revenue that comes from maternity care was great, right? There were a lot of deliveries that happened, deliveries and everything. As a result, you've seen, because of this, the average revenue per occupied bed has gone down, right? And as you know, right, once you give a birth, when you have this maternity care and everything, you don't have to stay in the hospital for for a longer period of time. Let's say if you are getting kind of like a cardiovascular surgery, you have to stay for a longer period of time. But let's say if you're giving birth, right, you'll probably have to stay, depending on the condition of the birth. Let's say if it's a normal delivery, it is probably 24 to 48 hours max, right? So that is what has happened here, because the average revenue per occupied bed has gone up because of the maternity care. But having said that, since the number of days after giving birth you stay is very less, hardly 1 or 2 days, that is why you see that the average length of stay has come down, right? Even here also, in terms of that inpatient, you can see, right, inpatient discharges also. Yeah, even in case of inpatient discharge also, you can see that it has been quite smooth, 14%. Or the inpatient volume that you see is also. Outpatient is again just consultation, even that has been great. This is the deliveries, like I told you, you can see a good increase, right? A 16% increase from last year to this year, right? Then this is the operational KPIs that you see from two different hospitals. One is the matured hospital, and the other one is new hospitals. Matured hospitals are those where those that have occupancy more than 60% to 60 to 65%, because they have been running for a longer period of time. And new hospitals are, like I told you, less than 60, not less than 60%, also less than 4 years, and the recently opened one. Can you see here also the occupancy, can you see, is has gone down by 4%. Again, 4% is nothing, because that is just a seasonality impact that you can see. Like I told you, compared to last year, this year, less kids probably have been falling sick. The other one is the ARPOB. ARPOB has increased because, again, like I told you, the delivery thing. Yeah. The next thing, yeah. Sorry, occupancy has increased over here. Right? Yeah, sorry, that's my mistake. Occupancy has increased, so has ARPOP. Yeah. The last thing is when you talk about the new hospital also, can you see the new hospital ka occupancy has decreased, right? And that is what is dragging the total occupancy down. The consolidated level, if you see, that is what is dragging the total occupancy down, right? So other than that, of course, nothing. It is the same here. You can see average revenue per occupied bed ALOS. It is the same situation like I explained it to you, right? So so right now from here you can understand that the business is good. There is nothing wrong with the business, as you can see. Good metrics, top line is there, bottom line is there, hospital KPIs also, there is nothing wrong with it. Great execution. The next thing as you talk about here is the expansion plans, because see, from an existing hospital there is only a few volumes you can cater to, right? Because you have limited amount of beds. Like I told you, a hub has around 250 beds. At the end of the day, a spoke has around 100 to 150 beds, right? So at the end of the day, you can only treat so many patients. Let's say you have so much, you have more influx of demand. At the end of the day, you won't be able to cater to it. And not only just about catering to the demand. At the end of the day, since you have very limited amount of beds, right, your volume growth also won't be up, right? Your occupancy will have a limit at the end of the day, right? So that is why these kind of business models, at the end of the day, in order to grow, in order to clock in more revenue, right, these people have to go set up a new hospital, in order to fuel that growth, right? Unlike an internet based business, an internet based business is what, like, all you have to do is have a website, and then you can cater to how many ever clients you want. There is no stop at it. There is no, you get unlimited operating leverage, in fact. But here there is always a limit. This is just the nature of the business model. You just can't help it, right? So yeah. So here, if you see this, these were the hospitals actually they were constructing last year, right? As much as I remember, in Q1 FY23 this was started, or I think even before that also. But this was a plan that had been there. So yeah, Rainbow Children's Hospital has started in Hyderabad, right? So there, if you see, all the hospitals are very mature hospitals, and they have an occupancy of 70% also, right? At good times they have an occupancy of 70 to 80% also. Now here, if you see, they had constructed a new hospital in Hyderabad that had like a spoke hospital that had around 60 beds. And this Hyderabad ka new block, as you can see, that was an expansion happening in the existing hub hospital, right? They were adding 50 beds. Now this will be ready by Q2 or Q4 of I think, sorry, this will be ready either in next quarter or in Q4 of this year, by FY23 and FY24. Even in Sarjapura, they were putting up, in Bangalore, they were putting up the, they were adding the capacity, increasing the capacity and adding 80 beds. So in Anna Nagar in Chennai, right, they were adding a new hospital and expanding the capacity there. So all of these hospitals would be done by this year, right? You can see this, all of these hospitals getting operational by this year, right? The second thing is, these are the hospitals that they're setting up. One in Bangalore, in Hennur area, they're setting up with 60 beds capacity, and this is with 100 bed capacity. And this will be operational in FY24-25. Similarly, here they're setting up this. This is the recent hospital. Actually, they planned it in this quarter. Actually, this quarter they came up with this that they'll be setting up a hospital in Coimbatore. And the reason for setting up in Coimbatore, as you know, Coimbatore is a Type 2, Type 3 city, right? And one of the reasons that they're setting up is Coimbatore is right now becoming more like a very like a hub, right? You can see even this IT companies also setting up their tech parks over there. I think Mindtree is one such company that is going up there and setting up their offices there, right? So Coimbatore is one place that they have started, and they've acquired a land. And one of the reasons is, they saw that there is a lot of demand, because all these Coimbatore people who were there, they used to go to Chennai to get the treatment, because, Chennai is like a metropolitan city, right? So every time they had to go, and Coimbatore to Chennai, I think it's 4 to 5 hours, so there were a lot of the people over there, there was a lack, and there was a lack of the pediatrics care. And that is why they see a good opportunity here, and they have acquired the land here in Coimbatore, and they're setting up the hospital, right? Another thing to mention about Rainbow Children's Medicare is, what is unique about them is, they, in a way, of course, right, hospitals, so much capex goes into that, but in a way they're an asset light model, because the buildings that you see, or the buildings that you see over that are used to construct this hospital, they lease those buildings. They don't they don't go acquire the land and build the hospital and all that things. The most of the times they try to lease the buildings and keep it as an asset light model because of that. Except here, this is the first time they're actually going and acquiring a land and building a building here. This in Gurgaon. This Gurgaon one was, I think, in Q3 FY23, as much as I remember, Q3 FY23, they acquired the land here in Gurgaon, right? One of the reasons for them to usually go from that asset light model to versus building a land in Gurgaon, I think in sector 5 in Noida, somewhere in that region, for or around Uttar Pradesh, in that region. The reason for them to be doing that is the rent in the whole Delhi, NCR, and this Uttar Pradesh region is extremely high. The rent or the lease model, if they go, so it really didn't make any sense for them to go. Because the rent cost is so high, it didn't make sense for them to go into this whole rent mode. So they were like, what? Let us just acquire the land, because the difference is not that much. Renting versus acquiring and building your own hospital. So that is why they started acquiring. This is the only, I would say, a unique way here. Like, they're going off from their asset light model. They're building up, they acquired the land and they're building up the hospital. And again, they're trying to create a hospital here with total with 400 bed capacity, right? So that's it about the expansion plans. And if you see all the expansion plans that they've done up to till date, right, they have been on track. There has not been much delay or of any sort. Every time they've been doing it on track. And the fact that they're opening up so many hospitals just shows you the demand that is there for their hospital and the quality of care that they provide, right? It is just a testimony of that fact, right? So that's that about entire rainbow children's hospital, right? You can see that everything is great, the result is great, the hospital metrics are great, they're going into expansion plan and everything. The only concern for me is the fact that as we talk about it today, right, I think going forward, of course, if they keep executing the way they do, right, you can make that 20 to 25% CAGR here, right? Like as the company is guiding or the hospital is guiding. The only thing I believe is that the EPS you will get any more that when you talk about this, you'll get that EPS expansion going forward. When you talk about PE, right, there are two things. One is the PE expansion and EPS expansion earnings. So I think going forward, you will get that EPS expansion only. That is one thing you can target, right? So other than that, nothing to talk about. Everything is great. Such a let me just stop presenting. Yeah, everything is great. There is no hiccups of any kind in the business momentum that you see, right? Like, they've been, whatever the company has been telling, or guiding, they've been executing that very well. So absolutely no problem, right? I think the only last point I would like to highlight is, when I talk about this average revenue per occupied bed, I forgot to tell that they've also taken a price increase of 5 to 6%. Like I told you, in hospital there are different kind of payer mix, right? Like a cash payment, insurance payment, and the government things. When you talk about that cash payment, people do there, they've taken 5 to 6% ka price hike, whereas the insurance payment, where it comes for the Hyderabad based cluster, right, for that they have taken 2 to 3% ka hike. They have gotten it for the insurance base, only for the insurance base. Another thing also, they can't take this insurance base ka price hike, like they have a contract with this insurance people for a term of 2 to 3 years, and based on that, they can take a price hike. For with the Hyderabad cluster, they've been able to get a 2 to 3% ka price hike on the insurance, and with Bangalore and I think the other regions, it will be probably in the other 2 or 3 quarters. I forgot to highlight this point. So yeah, that's that about the how it is adding on to the ARPOB also. So that's that. So other than that, I'm ending this video by saying that, of course, there's no problem with the business as of now, and it's something that we can just continue tracking this business and see again if they keep executing what they've told. So yeah, that's that. I hope you have a great day, and see you again next time. Yeah, take care. Bye bye.